So this is 2-4 standard notation, and I barely touched on this during class yesterday, but standard notation is just another way to write linear functions. So we learned about slope-intercept form, otherwise known as y-intercept form, and we're going to learn about standard notation, and that's just another way to write linear functions. So, as I said, you're probably going to like slope-intercept form more, as it gives you the y-intercept and the slope. It's right there in the equation. However, standard notation has its advantages. For example, you can use it to find both the y and the x intercepts. You can find the y-intercept and the x-intercept, which will be a bit harder, I guess, in slope-intercept form. But what does standard notation look like? Well, it looks like this. A number, an x, plus a number, and a y, equals another number. So, an example might be 2x plus 3y equals 6. This is an example of a standard notation equation. So first of all, you realize that it doesn't give you the slope, and also doesn't give you the y-intercept straight away, like slope-intercept does. So let me actually teach you how to use this equation. The first thing you need to realize, however, is that the y-axis is basically the equation x equals 0. So on this particular line, every single point is x equals 0. No matter what y is, it does not matter. Y is not in this equation. So the value of y does not change the x value at all. So y-axis is equal to x equals 0. You should write that in your notes. The x-axis, so this is the y-axis, and y equals 0. This is the x-axis. 0. That's the entirety of the x-axis. So now that we know that, let's see what we can do. So what does y-intercept mean? Well, it basically means what is y on the y-axis. It's just where the equation, where the line touches the y-axis, which is basically saying what is y when x is 0. Remember, the y-axis is x equals 0. So we can plug that in. So we want to find what the y-intercept is. So that's basically the equation x equals 0. We're going to plug in 0 for x. So we're trying to find the y-intercept. We basically take out the term that has x in it, because we're just looking for the y, basically. And now we're left with the equation 3y equals 6. And from here, all you need to do is solve for y. And this is a pretty simple equation. We learned this in 1-4. We can just divide both sides by 3, and we get y equals 2. That means the y-intercept of this equation is 2. Plot that on the graph. Y equals 2. That is where 1 point is. That's the y-intercept. The next thing we can do is find the x-intercept, where it touches the x-axis. Remember that this isn't in slope-intercept form. There's only the y-intercept. Remember, it's y equals mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept. So let's actually find the x-intercept now. So we're looking for the x-intercept, so we can just, we don't care about the 3y because remember the x-axis is just y equals 0. We can plug in y for 0 and you get 3 times 0 is 0. So you just think of it as it's gone. You're just looking for the x. Okay, so now we're left with the equation 2x equals 6. From here, we can divide both sides by 2. And if we do that, we get x equals 3. Which means on the x-intercept is at positive 3. Now we have 2 points on the line. We can connect them and form a line. That's that's standard notation. That's pretty much it. That's all you need to know. It's also on the homework. And just a quick thing before we end this class, which has been really short, is how to convert from standard notation to y-intercept, slope-intercept form, and vice versa. So you can just use some simple rules. For example, say we had that equation 2x plus 3y equals 6, right? So first of all, we want the equation in y equals mx plus b, right? So we just want y. We don't care about what's next to x. We just care about one y. We just want the y by itself. So what we can do is divide the entire equation by 3. So divide everything here by 3. Divide everything here by 3. And since we're dividing everything here by 3, this is one term, and this is one term, and we're going to separate them as 2x divided by 3 plus 3y divided by 3 is equal to 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So now that we have that, we see that 2x divided by 3 is the same as 2 over 3 times x plus, we can see that 3y over 3 is the same as y, because 3 times y divided by 3, we have positive equals positive 2. And now all we need to do is move this to the other side. So we can subtract both sides by negative 2 over 3x. Get y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. I don't have room to write that, but you can just think of it as y minus negative 2 equals negative 2 over 3x plus 2. So that was also our equation. The y-intercept was 2, and we rose 2 for every negative 3 that we run. 1, 2, 3. And then from here, rise 2, run 1, 2, 3, negative 3. And you see that it makes the same line. So now that we just got that, let's actually convert from slope-intercept form to y-intercept form, to standard notation. So say we had the equation y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. Right, so first of all, we don't want fractions in standard notation. Notice that when I had our equation 2x plus 3y equals 6, both 2 and 3, the factors for the variables, they were both integers. So they didn't have the negative sign. I mean, they can have the negative sign, but they didn't have decimal points, and they also weren't fractions. So let's do that. Well, first of all, we need to get rid of this fraction, negative 2/3. So what we can do is multiply both sides by positive 3. So what we're basically doing here is negative 2 over 3, right? And we multiply by 3 over 1, because that's also 3, right? So we get negative 6 divided by positive 3, and we get negative 2. Another thing that's cool about multiplication and multiplying fractions is that when you have things like this, you can factor them out, If it's on the top and bottom, if they're on opposite sides, top and bottom. So now that we know what we're doing, let's do it. Both sides by positive 3. Y times 3 is 3y. This is one term, and this is one term. Right, so you multiply all the terms by 3. Negative 2 divided by 3, x, is equal to, times x, by the way. X is part of the numerator. This isn't. Anyway, multiply by 3 and you get negative 2x. We multiply by 3 here, get plus 6. Remember to multiply this number by 3 as well. Can't miss that. Now we have this equation, we need to move the x to the other side. So we can add 2x to both sides. 3y plus 2x equals negative 2x plus 2x, that's the same as nothing, equals 6. And you can just flip this around. Multiplication is commutative, meaning it doesn't matter what order it is in, but I believe in standard notation you want x first and then y second. So this, you can just flip that to get 2x plus 3y equals 6. So that's, there is no converting from standard notation to slope-intercept and vice versa in the homework, but it is a helpful tool, so make sure you're used and you're just familiar with all the things that you can do in an equation, what you can do and what you cannot do. So, multiplying both sides, dividing and adding, subtracting, all of those. Make sure you're very clear and you're familiar with all of that so you can easily convert from standard notation to intercept form and all the other stuff. We'll have, there's going to be a lot of formulas and stuff in the future, and if you really want to prove them, it's really just based on how well you know algebra and how much you kind of alter the positions until you get something that you're satisfied with. So like a true equation or something like that. But I'm not going to go deep into that. Just remember that takeaway from this lesson was slope-intercept form. You find y. Not slope-intercept form. Standard notation. You can find the y-intercept and the x-intercept, and using those 2 points, you can find the slope and the y-intercept. I mean, yeah, like the slope and stuff, but using those 2 points, you can graph the line that standard notation equation represents. And yeah, that's it. So, yeah, just do the homework, and it's due tomorrow night. And also the test is tomorrow, so just make sure you know what you're doing for tomorrow. Last time we had 20 questions, and I gave you 30 minutes, and I believe that's a bit too much. So I might only have 10, maybe 15 questions, just so we can maybe complete it faster. And so when taking tests, I definitely recommend you go back, check your answers. You can use the calculator, you can also use your notes. Just make sure you are 100% sure with your answer before submitting. I find that I make a lot of silly mistakes, so I want to eliminate that possibility. The best type of incorrect answer is an incorrect answer that you actually do not know. Even count like a mistake where like I made a stupid mistake where, for example, I mistook a 1 for a 7, or I copied from step to step wrong, or I used the wrong, all this small stuff. I want to eliminate, and so I also want that with you guys as well. Just make sure you have enough time. If you have a question that you're stuck on, don't spend it that much time because it's only worth 1 point. I'm only giving you 30 minutes to do it. After 30 minutes is up, submit the test what you have. So you're just gonna have to randomly press buttons, press answers. There's multiple choice as well, so you can have to just press answers. But I recommend you try to have some time to think about each question as you go. As I said, this probably will be I'll probably it's probably going to be 15 questions, so you guys can finish. That's like about 2 minutes per question. So yeah, that's it for today. Make sure you do the homework, and yeah.